Hi, in today's video I'm going to be covering how to run the Snap version of Chromium in a separate network namespace. Now, in a couple of previous videos I showed you how to set this up, and basically what it is normally all of your network traffic is going to go out of your regular connection, and if you run a VPN it will go out, everything will go out the VPN. What a split route is we can have two network connections, our regular connection and our VPN, and we can actually use a script to send individual applications over the VPN, like our browser and our torrent client. So in these previous videos I showed you how to set this up and how to run Firefox in a separate network namespace with pulseaudio working. Now what I'm going to do is actually show you how we can run Chromium Snap version in a separate network namespace. So what I'm going to do is come across to the terminal and fire up my VPN. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a separate network namespace called VPN. So sudo, let me just start this up. And I think I just mangled the password. Okay, so what we've got here is a separate, we've got two connections now, and I can run Firefox in the separate VPN, okay, Firefox, and I can open up YouTube and just give it a second. Okay, and let's just go to got.blut, LETU, and I'll show you the audios working. Okay.
All right.
So if I bring up what's my IP, you'll see that this is it says I'm in America, okay, where I'm not. So that's how we get Firefox running. So what I'm going to do now is open up the terminal, and what I've got is a script called namespace, which uses the vpn-netns command to create the separate route. Now if I try running namespace chromium, I can type it, chromium, cannot execute snap tool, snap update ns permission denied. Okay, so it's not letting us do that. That's because snaps are sort of sandboxed and they're in their own separate namespace. So it's running it like that is not happening. So the issue is, how can we launch Chromium without the snap crap and get it to run like a regular, Debian file? So we have a look in our snap folder, in our home directory. You'll see we've got Chromium. Let me just increase the size of this. So we've got Chromium here, and what we've got is different version numbers, and then common, and a symlink from current to the latest version here. But there is also a snap directory at the root folder here. You can see /snap. So we've got snap, Chromium, and it's got more stuff in it. So first issue is, how do we find the correct path to launch Chromium without all the snap rubbish and get it to work? So what I'm going to do is come across here, my notes, and the first thing we actually need to do is let me come through here. Where did I put it? Okay. Right, so this is the actual path we're looking for. Snap Chromium current user lib chromium-browser-chrome. This launches Chromium without the snap crap, basically. Now, if I was to run this in the browser, what will happen is it will launch Chromium, but the issue is it will launch it as a brand new install. It will launch it without your profile or any of your settings, or any of your bookmarks, your extensions, that kind of stuff. So that's no good. So what we need to do is actually, after we find the path to launch Chromium, is the next problem is it's not picking up the profile directory. So if I just come across here, normally your Chromium config for a deb file will be in .config. Okay, so what I've got down here is, okay, so this is the original Chromium directory that was created when I was using the deb file. So let's have a look at that. ls.config chromium.back. Okay, so it looks like this. It's got all this stuff in autofill, regex, all this kind of stuff. So this is the profile directory that was created from the old deb version. So what we need to do is actually find out where Snap stores that profile information and then symlink it to .config Chromium. So if we have a look in our Snap directory here, Chromium common, and then slash Chromium, you'll see this is the profile directory. So basically what we need to do is create a symbolic link from Snap Chromium common Chromium to .config Chromium. So that's basically what I did. So what I'm going to do is come through the steps here. So first of all, what we need to do is change to our config directory, cd /.config, and if there is a existing Chromium directory from the previous deb version, what we need to do is rename it to chromium.back. So let me just go into my config directory, and what you'll see here is if I scroll up, I've got chromium.back. So I've renamed it. So the next step we need to do after we've done that is create a symbolic link from the snap config directory to .config. So basically we run ln-s, the path to the snap chromium common chromium directory, and then create a symbolic link to config. And what that's going to do is that's going to create this directory here. You can see I've created the symbolic link already. Chromium now points to that location. Okay, so after we've done that, what we do is we we create this script here, and what this does is this gets pulseaudio to work, and also launches the unsnapified version of Chromium. Okay, so we create this script here, we make it executable, and then we're going to copy the script to user local bin. I'll stick links to all the scripts and everything so you can just download them and install them. But basically that's the next step, is creating the script we're going to use to launch it. And then finally what we need to do is actually create a desktop entry. And what I've done is I've got my desktop entry up, and I'll provide a link to it so you can just download it. But basically if I just come down to the exec command here, what you'll see is I'm running user local bin namespace, which is the script with the vpn-netns command in it. And then we're running the chromium-netns script that we created. So once we've done all of that, if I now come across here, what I can now do is run, if I type Chromium in my application launcher, what you'll see is I've got two entries for Chromium. The regular version of Chromium, so if I open that, that's the regular version. And if I try and go to a blocked site, rbg.to, it's blocked, nothing's happening. So what I'm going to do now is come across and launch the VPN version of Chromium. Well, I can either type Chromium, and you basically see here I'll select Chromium VPN. That launches up, I run what's my IP. See here, that's the IP, and it's saying that I'm in America. If I was to, yep, okay, see, there's the IP. And let me just pour some more tea. Okay, so we're in America. So this is working now. Now let's bring up YouTube. Okay, and let's just go to DistroTube to open a video and show you that the audio is working as well.
Today I want to share with you one of the neatest...
We've got audio as well. So basically we've cracked it. We've done something that Snap doesn't want us to do, which is run this application in a separate network namespace, and we've got audio. So basically we can send either Firefox over the VPN, and now we can also send Chromium Snap version over the VPN as well. So let's recap the steps. Right. So basically what you need to do is follow the videos that I showed you to set this up previously. And this is the all the scripts, all the code, everything you need to get going. This is the VPN scripts that I use to create the split root and a separate namespace, and also how you can run unbound DNS server in the separate namespace as well. So your DNS traffic will go over the VPN, and also how we can edit our sudoers file so that we can run the namespace script without a password prompt. Here's the section on setting up firefox-audio in the desktop entry. I covered in a previous video, and down the bottom we've got setting up the transmission BitTorrent client so that we can send that over the VPN. And these are the new steps for basically getting the Snap version of Chromium to work in a separate namespace. So first step was going into our config directory and seeing if we've got an existing Chromium file from the old deb package, and if we have, basically rename it to chromium.back or delete it because it's not actually being used. The next step we did was we created a symbolic link from the Snap Chromium common Chromium directory to tilde/.config, so that we've got a symbolic link to the old location where a regular browser would look for its config file. After we've done that, what we did was we created the chromium-netns script, and basically it says what this does is it sets some environmental variables for pulseaudio so that it works over the namespace, and we basically launch Chromium by running this path, the snap chromium current user lib chromium-browser/chrome link. And as I say, you have to create the symbolic link to your config directory, because otherwise what will happen is it will launch as a brand new instance of Chromium, saying, you know, set as your default browser, no extensions installed, no profile or anything. So that's why we need to create the symbolic link. So I'll give links to the script so you can just download it, make it executable, move it into place. And again, we've got the VPN desktop file, and basically you can just download this file from the link I'll give you, and then just move that file into place. Once you've done that, you're all good to go, and you basically fire up your OpenVPN split connection using the scripts I've written, and then in your application launcher you'll have a nice easy way to open Chromium without using the command line. No passwords required. Bang. So here we go. Here's the regular Chromium. I'm not going to do what's my IP because that will show my IP, but as I said, rvg.to blocked. Yep. come across to the VPN version. So I can either type Chromium or I can type VPN, and that's going to list either the Firefox one. It's going to list the VPN running in the terminal, or Firefox or Chromium. So I'll run Chromium, rbg.to. That's going to connect. And there we go. So we've done something that Snap by default doesn't allow us to do, which is run it in a separate network namespace. And we did that by figuring out the path to launch Chromium without all the Snap crap. Set up the profile, created a symlink for where the config file is supposed to be. We've got all our extensions. We've got our profile, bookmarks, all that kind of stuff. So that's all good, perfect. And basically, the issue with Snaps is, as I say, they run in their own sort of container, and I think they also use AppArmor as well. And there is a user local etc. AppArmor. Is it user local? User local etc. There is something in here. There is actually a location where you can override parts of an AppArmor profile, but I just couldn't figure out how to actually get it to work to allow the Snap to run in the VPN network namespace. I don't even know if that's possible. But this is basically a quick hack to get around the Snap sandbox restrictions and allow us to basically use the browser how we want and not how someone else decides that we should use the browser. Because this is Linux, this isn't Mac, Windows or iOS where you get told what to do. If we want to run Chromium Snap version in a separate network namespace, well, we should be allowed to do that. And with a bit of hacking, a bit of know-how and a bit of Googling, we can. So basically means that now I can run any command line application or desktop application either through my regular network or through the VPN. And the reason why I find this useful is because suppose, for instance, I want to let me bring up Firefox. So suppose I want to download some torrents over a VPN. So what I can do is I can run namespace torrents, and I showed you this in the previous video. And what that's done is that has launched transmission in the separate network namespace. So the transmission daemon is running in the VPN network namespace, and so is Firefox. So I could then come across to rbg.to and download my Linux distributions. So I can download everything with my VPN, but I can also come across and I could just open my regular Chromium and I could, come across to channel 4 and I could watch stuff on channel 4 at the same time as I'm downloading stuff. Because if I just set my VPN to send everything over the VPN, what it means is basically I'll only be able to do one thing at once. I can't watch UK TV, ITV, BBC, Channel 4, if all my network is going out the US, obviously. So that's why I have a split network, so that I can, basically use stuff in the UK, but also have my VPN connection going at the same time, and download whatever I want at the same time as watching Channel 4, ITV, BBC, etc. So that's the reason why I set up a separate split route. And as I said, what it allows me to do is run any application either through my regular connection or by using the namespace script. I can run any command line application over the VPN, and I can also create desktop entries for my browsers like Firefox and Chromium, so that I basically don't have to launch them from the terminal. I just bring up Rofi or whatever command line launcher I want, and I can basically do it from there. So what I'll do is just close these. So again, I can either type Firefox and then select the VPN version. I've got Firefox running in the VPN. What's my IP? Okay, because my IP. Okay, yep. If I come across to Chromium, I'll launch the I'll launch the VPN version of Chromium. What's my IP? Go. P. So you can see both of these coming out of the US. And if I was to try and go to channel 4 here and play something, it's not going to have it, because obviously this is running in the US. So I'm not going to actually play anything, but all right, so if I try and play this, it should fail. Okay, will it fail? Okay, not available. Awful is only available in the UK, so that's not working. Okay, whereas if I was to run this in my regular instance of Chromium, it would work. So basically, that's how we can run both Firefox and Chromium Snap version in a separate network namespace to allow us to, download stuff and watch, TV in our own country at the same time. So what I'll do is I'll put links to all this under the video. Basically, all you're going to need to do is one, rename your old config file if it's there. 2, create the symbolic link. Create the symbolic link there. Then all you got to do is download the script, copy it into place, download the desktop file, copy that into place, and you're good to go. All done. That's it. Very quick and easy to do. No messing about with AppArmor scripts and that sort of thing, trying to figure out how to get AppArmor and Snap working in a separate namespace, which it said may not even be possible. But by actually running this path, snap chromium current user lib chromium-browser-chrome, that will launch Chromium without all the snap crap. And I should point out that if you're running Firefox regularly, the version of Firefox on Ubuntu doesn't use AppArmor at all. And Firefox is actually going to transition to a Snap package in the future. So the reason why I wanted to look at this was because when that does happen, I wanted to be able to run Firefox in a separate network namespace. So I needed to figure out a way to get around the Snap crap. And this is the way we do it. So once Firefox makes a transition to Snap, I can have a look at that. I mean, there is a Snap package now, but I'll wait till we have to actually transition using Snap for Firefox, and then hopefully the same method we've got here for Chromium should work for Snaps. We just need to figure out what the actual path to launch Firefox without all the Snap crap, and then we should basically be able to do the same thing. So I'll leave links to all this and the scripts and the previous videos on how you set all this up. And once you've gone through these steps, you'll basically be able to send any application either on the command line or a graphical application over your VPN. So for example, if you wanted to use Chromium to watch Netflix or something, because by default Firefox doesn't have DRM enabled, whereas Chromium does have DRM playback enabled, because things like Channel 4 require they use DRM. So I prefer to leave Firefox without DRM enabled and then use Chromium for sites that use DRM, and this lets me do it. So it's a really nice way of being able to move your browsers either through your regular connection or send them over a VPN and get the audio working as well, which is obviously important because there's no point trying to watch a video without audio. So that's how we get around the snap rubbish with Chromium and get it to work in a separate networks namespace, and also get the audio to work. I'll put links to everything so you can just download the scripts and the config files, and you'll be good to go.